back to the channel. Today is a very good day. You probably can't tell by the sound of my voice because I sound the same regardless of how I feel. But portfolios are up, the weather is good, and I also have a brand new mic on order. So for those who are tired of listening to me negotiate my way out of a box, do not worry, that will be handled very soon. So I thought it was only appropriate to do a video on NFTs as we had a lot of news about them. And I want to make sure that we all understand what NFTs are, what they can do, how they work, and how they apply to you. So without further delay, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, we heard a lot about NFTs, so what about them? They surged in popularity in recent months, ever since 2020, thanks to the need for creators who want to find a new means of income in the wake of our current economic situation. People have been managed for so long, and it's hard to see the fact that NFTs can give you a sense of agency over your work, and it cuts out a lot of the middleman. Since traveling was put on hiatus, it's a great way to get your art to your fans exclusively. The most recent artist to announce an NFT drop was Tory Lanez. If you remember the previous video or watched it, he didn't need a manager. He used the eNFT platform and made it happen himself with the know-how to facilitate the sale. There have been many more artists to do this with NFTs, as you can see here on the screen. And I'll leave this right here as this video will be quite static. I have a few talking points that I will be using for myself, but this is the only visual aid you will be seeing throughout the video. A non-fungible token simplified, it is a digital certificate of authenticity. It can be anything digital, from music, artwork, a GIF, so you can make a GIF as an NFT as well, like a short looping video. And this is what my logo advertises, a tokenized future. I believe everything in the future will be digitized, such as housing and things like that. And I am so for it because we gain trust over the things that are put onto the blockchain. We know it's authentic, we know it's real, and this is why I'm here today breaking it down to you guys so you can potentially start your career and add to the possibilities. They're endless. So the non-fungible portion of the name indicates that there is only one or a set of groups depending on how they create it, how they release it. You can have a 1 of 1, you can have a 2 of 2. You just know that when you receive that product, if it's 1, that's the only one you get. It's on the blockchain, so you cannot duplicate it. And if you have a 2 out of 2, you have the same authentic item. It just has another ID on the blockchain. So neither of those two can be duplicated. For example, and potentially a lesson if you did not know, the creator of Bitcoin, there can only be 21 million. So it has the scarcity factor behind it, and also attributes to a big portion of its value because it's so scarce. Not everyone can have it. There's 21 million Bitcoin, and there are more people in the world who want it as adoption rises. Now, the technology portion of NFTs, they rely on blockchain technology, and a short explanation on how blockchain works without creating a 25-minute video. So let's say we have a retailer who wants to record their end-to-end supply chain data on the blockchain. So whatever item they have for sale, they want to put on the blockchain to verify its authenticity. So in order to track their inventory or combat counterfeits, for it to work, each entity, which would be one franchise or another, would need to participate so that there are no gaps in the data. So you would need one franchise running a node while the other is also running a node, and you guys are linked up and you share the same blockchain with the same data. And with those two nodes established, every time a new transaction is logged on the blockchain, like when a container is scanned at a port or an item is placed on a shelf, it can be validated and bundled with other transactions in a block, which would be linked to other blocks to form a blockchain. That's where the name comes from. Any copies of the data would be stored across multiple devices called nodes. So let's say the nodes are being ran at the retailer stores. Let's say we have McDonald's 1, McDonald's 2, they're synced up, they both have the blockchain. Anything in between them is authentic, all the data is stored, no counterfeits can enter the network as long as they maintain their nodes. And this creates a decentralized system that acts as a safeguard against hacking, which it can apply to all sorts of managements. So let's say you are a car part manufacturer and everything entered on the blockchain is scanned via serial number. You could do the same thing. You can have a warehouse in Delaware and a warehouse in Texas, and any parts exchange between you two that comes from, let's say, your main source to get these parts is Japan. So any part that comes from Japan to Delaware would be synced up with the facility in Texas saying, okay, this here has arrived on our blockchain, there's no other part like this, and they know they have that one of one part, or however many they decide to make, since it is a car manufacturer. So that pretty much explains blockchain. Now, bringing it back around to the NFT, think of it as digital artwork. Like how I've been trying to explain it before, it's the equivalent of a check mark on Twitter or Instagram, which people, you can understand why some people would like to have this, because you would pay thousands to virtually maintain that reputation. A lot of people like to say, oh, I'm verified. And it's a pretty cool concept when you apply it to your daily life. Now, that pretty much sums up what an NFT is, how the technology behind the NFT works, and also how it is applied to retail stores if you wanted to apply it to a different concept rather than only an artist selling them to their fans. This can be different all across the board depending on how you use it. The reason why people trust NFTs is because the data entered on the blockchain is immutable. It's backed by math. And before I get into the nitty gritty of what math that the blockchain is protected by, I'm just going to say you can't change it. If anything is changed on the blockchain, when the block sends that information to the one that is being created, depending on which node is creating that block, it will reject that block because the information in that block is not correct. I know I trust math. It is pretty fascinating, blockchain technology, and it's here to make our lives better. So whatever product you may encounter, it is 100% guaranteed that the same project that was first entered on the blockchain is the same one that your money paid for. Let's say if you sell shoes, I want to try to apply this to somebody else. You want to ensure that the shoes that you're selling, the Jordans that you're selling, Vans, Adidas, that they're authentic, because the potential customer would sure appreciate if you sold them something authentic. Now, let's say if Nike partnered with a blockchain and they had all of their shoes, all of their inventory on a blockchain, and when you bought it from Nike, you get the digital certificate saying that this is an authentic item from Nike, from the blockchain, strictly manufactured. You were the first owner. And the customer on the end side can verify that authenticity by going to the Nike website. Let's say if they built up their infrastructure and had a place on their homepage where you can check the authenticity of that item. You can then go there, and if it does not match, the QR code either will not scan, it'll come up with a red flag saying, hey, this item is not authentic, and you can do with what you will from there. You know, the dialogue between you and the seller is going to be quite heated, I can imagine. But you can just see how it can apply to anyone, depending on how you want to do it. I find it really rare that this stuff can come about every once in a while, such transformative technology. And as adoption goes on, more people will use it. VeChain is trying to do the same thing with agriculture. And what they can do is they can put a whole supply of any retailer on the blockchain. So that's what they're going to try to do for the businesses who are not transformed and not hip to this technology yet, which I can see them going a very long way. When companies start to look to get into the space and transform their retail services by going to the blockchain, I can see VeChain right there catching them when they decide to take the jump off that cliff. Now, when it comes to money today, you can't trust that your money is the same that sits in the bank that you deposited a couple years ago. And unfortunately, if the bank chose to do so, they can hold your cash hostage as they did in 2008 during the last financial crisis. If you intended to do a bank run to avoid a bank's insolvency, they can hold your money without any say at all. And they can also have armed guards. That's what happened in 2008. I was surprised when I looked up this news because that's just mind boggling. You telling me I can't receive all of my money that I gave you? The previous financial crisis showed just how much fractional reserve banking is modern day robbery. I just don't see how banks make more money from my money than I did. Keyword did. It's poor monetary policy, and the crypto space is here to reverse that narrative and pay you for what you have and eliminate those who exploit you for simply just wanting to park your money. And even if they let you, now you have to worry about your dollars going a little less further than it did a year ago. And that's in regards to the amount of printing that have been going on. What the crypto space can do for you is create a hedge against the US dollar, as a lot of big institutions look to do. That's why they buy bonds and get loans from private investors or banks in general, just so they can get more money to invest it and make more money that inflation is taken away from them every year. Because if they just kept their balance sheets static, they weren't doing anything with it, they're ultimately losing money. And as a business, there's some times where I look at businesses and copy their models on what they do. But overall, I know if they're trying to beat inflation and they're jumping into the crypto space, then I don't think it's a bad space for you either. And that will do it for this one. Once again, I do thank you. I do appreciate you for watching. It has been a great day, as I said in the intro. I hope you guys are also having a good day and your portfolios are profiting just as much as the next guys, and the weather is doing just dandy where you are. Until next time, see you.